Out of everything you learned in your O-levels and A-levels, how much of that do you use now?
0.
I said go to a upper Colombo school, you bugger.
Yeah, wait.
But India is also very much driven by academics.
Yeah, very much.
Very much driven.
Very much driven by academics to a point where the Western world is dominated by people who learn from tradition.
Damn, yes. I got an A for
wanna say
singular and all the people around me also got A for singular.
Stop.
Is the academic system in Sri Lanka outdated? What do you think? Alright, so hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Success Podcast. And in this video, again, we are going to be taking an IELTS essay topic and then discussing the two sides of that particular topic. So what is the topic we have for this episode?
Education systems around the world are often criticized for being outdated. Do you think schools should place more emphasis on creative and practical skills instead of academic subjects? Discuss both sides and provide your opinion.
Okay, so again with this type of question, we have to discuss, it clearly says discuss both sides.
Yeah.
So what are the two sides? The first side would be give more emphasis to
creative and practical skills instead of academic subjects.
Yeah, so give more emphasis to creative and practical skills. And then the second one would be give more attention to academic skills.
Yeah.
Academic learning,
Yeah.
so to say.
More towards creative and practical, less towards...
That depends on what your opinion is. So if your opinion is, okay, more emphasis should be given to creative and practical skills, then more emphasis should be given to that. But if you think, no, academics are more important, then more emphasis should be given to that.
Give me a second.
Technical difficulties, people.
Sorry. Sorry.
Alright. Okay. That's the end of the technical difficulty.
Yeah, at least better than your house where we had to keep mugs to like bloody catch the rain.
Yeah,
Here we actually have mugs that are performing as mugs.
That was such a flop, no? I'm so glad we switched to a new location.
Yeah.
Alright. So what do you think? Like, do you think... Okay, so we'll take one side of the argument first. And we'll first talk about, are academics outdated, or is the academic system... See, the thing is, again, we have to try and narrow it down as much as possible. So maybe let's narrow it down to Sri Lanka. Is the academic system in Sri Lanka outdated? What do you think?
Yes.
Yes, why?
As in Sri Lanka, as in you can only take the government education system.
Yeah, the government education. So see, again,
the state education system.
The state education system. And the reason like I'm narrowing it down is because it makes it easy when writing the essay. So then you have one single point.
Yeah.
You have one single example to focus on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have the Western curriculum, you have the curriculum in the Scandinavian countries. So it's just complicated.
Yeah.
So let's just narrow it down to Sri Lankan state academic education.
Yeah.
Is it outdated or not?
Outdated as hell.
Outdated as hell. Why is that?
It's just the lack of emphasis on. I don't mean to be repeating the question, but it is actually a lack of emphasis on creative and other like non-conventional employment opportunities. No?
Let me ask you this question. Out of everything you learned in your O-levels and A-levels, how much of that do you use now?
0. English.
Science, how to?
Singular. Yeah. Not even science. English, singular.
Languages.
Languages, yeah.
Were very useful.
Very useful.
But even languages...
English was just...
Now, see, the thing is for you and me, we come from an English-speaking background.
Hence our English is good.
Hence our English is good. But if you look at the thousands and thousands of Sri Lankans who learnt English for 13 years, still struggle to speak English. Yeah. So again, what is the practicality of the language we learnt?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. I mean, even if you think about it,
good
you
for
say...
us.
Huh?
Good for us.
Good for us.
Keep being backwards, Sri Lanka. Keep being backwards. Just make more money.
Don't say that.
Bro, if they change the curriculum and all of a sudden everyone's speaking good English, you're...
New opportunity for public speaking. Because again, you can learn the language, but speaking it confidently is a whole different issue.
That's true.
We get, so a lot of people who come for public speaking classes are people who do come from English speaking backgrounds, but they're just afraid to speak out in front of a crowd. They are afraid to voice their opinion. They are afraid to do a presentation. That issue is also there. But you were saying, okay, you learned English, you learned Sinhala, you learned the languages, but again, did you learn practically how to apply those languages?
No.
In
Even
real world
Sinhala, no,
scenarios?
it's not. I've forgotten all the tech. I got an A for Sinhala O levels.
I got an A
I
for
wanna say
Sinhala, and all the people around me also got A for Sinhala.
Stop one-upping.
Because of me.
Stop it. I am an Indian. I am here. Sinhala was never in my radar. I'm actually one of those kids who started off in English medium, and then they had that weird, okay, no more English medium anymore, and then until grade 5. Yeah, you Peterites would understand. So in BS, what happened is they had a full-on English medium.
I said go to a upper Colombo school, you bugger.
Yeah, way
Top
more upper
level.
than Peter. Shut up, man.
Top level Colombo school.
So as I was saying, in government schools, when I joined, they had from grade 1 all the way to A levels, they had English medium. And at some point after grade 1 and 2, they switched it up and said, no, just single medium now.
No way.
You have to study everything in single. Like you have to study mathematics, everything in single.
Damn.
Until you are at grade 5. And then after grade 5, you can start again studying English. I don't know why, but that happened. And so it shook us up a bit.
I started off in Sinhala medium. And then I switched to English medium in grade 6.
Yeah. But see, y'all are handled by the church, no?
Yeah.
So obviously y'all don't count as like state.
Yeah.
Because
we are
the education
government.
system we went through, like we didn't really learn the technicalities even of Sinhala. I don't have any like practical application of it. I just voted to just get an A for the
Yeah, because
exam.
we learned about Sinhala Sahitya. We learned about society is like literature. We learned about English, Sinhala grammar. And the thing is, practically, again, like I learned Sinhala because at my house we speak Sinhala.
Yeah.
Like on a day-to-day basis, we speak Sinhala. When I say I come from an English-speaking background, like my mother is an English teacher, so she kind of forced it upon us to learn English from a young age, and then I got into theatre and things like that.
I come from a Tamil-speaking background.
Yeah, I come from, like, if you really think about it, I come from a Sinhala speaking background.
Yeah.
So my father and mother, they speak Sinhala. But like, I was forced to speak English because my mother was an English teacher and she kind of forced us to speak in English as much as we possibly could.
Yeah.
And then because I switched to English medium, that kind of helped. But other than language, like nothing else, like mathematics, science, what are the other subjects? We had geography. I mean, they did contribute a certain level to our general knowledge.
Yeah.
But other than that, like there was no massive benefit.
So I think when you're talking about this, you can't really criticize the general knowledge aspect of state education. I think you're mostly talking about the advanced level stuff because it's more backwards in terms of they just give more priority to STEM subjects and less towards the arts and the practical stuff.
Very little emphasis on the arts. So like if you're really good at memorizing, you have a really good chance of getting through government examinations. But if you're someone that's on the more creative side, you're kind of lost in that spectrum of things.
And in the previous pod we were talking about you would hire people who think on their own 2 feet. I feel like the Sri Lankan education system does not
prepare you for that.
that.
That is so true. And also the Sri Lankan education system doesn't prepare us at all to go into the working environment.
Yeah.
I don't know about university education, but let's just stick to school education, right? In school education, if someone finishes their O-levels and A-levels and goes into the working environment, they are not ready. They have not learned anything about technology. They don't even have basic design skills. Like even if you think about something like Canva, we learn about Canva only when we come into the workforce. We've never heard of it in our school life.
Yeah.
a lot of other things, like even simple things like how to do Microsoft Excel sheets, Word.
So unless you picked IT specifically.
Yeah, unless you speak IT
Because
specifically.
nowadays it's like essential.
Exactly.
Sri Lanka is just failing to digitalize.
And I think that's why Mr. Dhammika Pereira's program really hit it off, because he catered to the technological aspect of education. And everybody realized, hey, tech is so important.
It's important.
And what's amazing is Dhammika Pereira is doing it for free.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing it at the end of the day. I mean, it's on YouTube. He has
free.
his. You can say what you want about it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
it's free for the consumer.
it's free for the consumer.
It's free for the consumer.
It's free for the consumer. And there's so much of good things that's coming out of it. Because people are learning about coding, people are learning about all of these different,
Yeah. For sure. I think a lot of people learn English.
A lot of people learn. Even IELTS, man. IELTS, English. So many other subjects. There are people that literally watch like Dhammika Pereira's lessons for maths and science, and then
I handled his English.
you
video
did
production.
Yeah, it's fantastic, right?
DP English.
It's fantastic.
Great
And they cater to a more practical aspect of things as well, which is really good. So overall, I think the biggest problem with our education system as it stands is that it does not prepare us to go into the workforce.
Yeah.
It doesn't prepare us to go into the working environment and thrive there. There are ideally, two kinds of people that really thrive in the business world, and that's people who can think creatively and people who can talk assertively. So both those skills aren't taught to us at school.
Yeah.
We're taught to memorize, we're taught to listen to our teachers and follow the orders. That's about
Follow the orders. Even the way they're questioning us
Yeah.
is just remember what was said in the textbook.
Yeah.
Those bullet points we're supposed to highlight, you don't remember. There's no thinking. That's why when we did SIMA and stuff, it was a completely different sort of questioning. It was like, okay, write your opinion and you were judged on that. Give us a solution and you were judged on that. And then we were like, this wasn't taught to us.
Yeah.
But that's what the workforce is.
Yeah. And then when we talk about what was that part of the question? Should creative thinking be integrated into the education? But is that correct?
Yeah. So should they give more focus towards creative stuff or creative and practical stuff?
Creative and practical aspects of education.
Yeah.
Okay, so how could they incorporate that into the education system? Now, we always talk about this, right? We always talk about, hey, the education system should change. Education system is outdated. I think you and I, we agree on that. But can it change? Can we include a more creative, practical aspect into the education system? Yeah, now like one of the things that really helped us during school was the fact that we did a lot of extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
We were prefects.
Which is what practically helps us to this day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what you're saying in terms of we should learn problem solving skills, we should learn leadership skills, whatever. We learned that from our extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
Because I did prefectship, I did drama, did interact, whatever. So we learned how to organize an event, lead a team, how to hire the right people, right? Interview and hire the right people.
How to brainstorm. Use creative use multiple heads to come up with solutions.
And we had to face so many problems.
Yeah.
Like there was like internal politics, there was external politics from like the management of school versus like the prefects or the board of the ELDS. And then we had a separate issue overall when we talk about drama, and we had like that kind of politics to deal with. And then when we were organizing events, there was the whole problem of how do we raise money. We had to make budgets, we had to go and ask for sponsorships. So it was basically we were selling. Yeah. We were selling this event to get money. And we had to organize all these things, put together like for example, when we organized Interaction, right, which was a major event. I wasn't involved in that process, but I saw like one of my best friends was the chair of it for Interaction. And it was one massive event, like at different locations across Colombo. It was crazy. So all of those things were learned on the go because we practiced those things, right? And the question is, can schools implement this for everybody?
Like,
And
for
if
example,
so,
the
can-
STEM subjects.
Yeah,
Can they implement like creativity
into the STEM subjects.
into the STEM subjects?
Can they? Now that's a question. That's tricky.
In your advanced levels, you're basically learning advanced tools
Yeah.
and not really taught how to implement
Those tools to solve the
those. So
problem.
they need to figure out a system in which they're now focusing more on, okay, how are you going to implement these tools?
Yeah. Even something as simple as
But I think that's
English
what happens
language.
at college. But what we are arguing
Not really,
is,
man. Like, I went to university. I have a degree in business management. Like, we were never taught how to run a business.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Which kind of defeats the purpose of a business management degree,
Yeah.
right? We got through. Again, it was for me. I barely went for any of the classes when I was doing the degree. It was whatever I learned for A-levels was what came for the degree as well. So I just went for the paper, sat and wrote. And presentations were a walk in the park because I could speak well, right? Now, one of the benefits of university is that you have to do presentations. So people that struggle to speak really had a good time blossoming there because they were kind of forced to speak and forced to do presentations. But outside of that, the academic aspect again remained the same. So I don't think they practically taught us how to apply something or how to run a business. Because how can someone who has never run a business come and teach us how to run a business? It's just practically impossible, right? So again, like I think even universities in Sri Lanka more or less teach the same thing as they do in O-levels and A-levels. So maybe how things can change to a more creative aspect is, like you said, okay, O-levels, I think up to O-levels, it can be whatever the education system is teaching right now. And there can be like small applications of how you can use what you're learning to, solve a problem and whatnot. But A-levels can really jump down on that aspect of it. Like, how can you use what you learned in the last 10 years from grade 1 to grade 10 or 11 in a practical sense?
Yeah.
That can really be honed and taught in schools. And being a part of these clubs, sports should be ideally made mandatory as well.
Yeah.
Because it will really go a long way in molding the character of a student.
Building team spirit. It's not all about you.
Everything, man. Like
Working as a team. Because working as a team, I learned when I didn't really learned it in school. I learned it after I went out of school because working as a team includes covering up for people's mess ups.
Absolutely.
And that seems unfair as hell.
Yeah.
Absolutely unfair. Like, dude, I'm not getting a raise because some dude didn't get his shit together. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be rewarded.
Yeah.
Yes, that is part of working as a team. If one fails, everyone fails.
That is so true. And all of that, I think, culminates into, or rather, all of that can be taught in school itself.
Yeah.
Especially if all of these sports and extracurriculars were made mandatory and a certain level of problem solving was applied into the academics as well.
I think they should also take like artistic occupations more seriously.
Yeah.
Because
But
look at some of the biggest occupations nowadays. Okay, let's leave the dumb ones like TikToking and shit aside.
Yeah.
But even they are like viable stuff nowadays.
Viable stuff. Man, people
I'm
are earning
not
a
dissing
lot.
on them. I'm not dissing, but
Yeah.
let's, for argument's sake, leave them out.
Yeah.
Social media now is like so big. Editing,
Yeah.
After Effects work, all of those things that were never taught in schools. We don't even have a subject of like editing and stuff. Videography, none of that. Like film school, none of that is taught. But nowadays, everything is there. We make a buck ton. We are paying so much to get this produced right now. And the
this podcast getting produced is very expensive.
very expensive. And the people who are on the other end are making a whole lot of money. And this is the demand right now. Everything's digitalized. So you need to be better at that. Another thing, public speaking. Something that you preach. Right? Everyone's speaking now. And
The thing is, if you can speak well, you can progress so fast in your career.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand.
My point is, before it might have been niche, where you had to be like a really good speaker and you spoke in just events. Now, everyone has social media. Everyone needs to talk.
And it's not even just about having social media. Like, I get a lot of people who are from tech jobs, right? They progressed in their career early on because they were really good tech guys. But when they got to a manager level position, what they realized is, oh shit, like my tech stuff is done. Now I need to network with the people. I need to motivate my team.
Yeah.
I need to talk to my team and explain something to them. I get so many people like that who come and say, I know the tech stuff inside out, but I just don't know how to explain it to someone else. And that's where the problem comes.
Here's another one
Yeah.
that is pretty obvious to us now.
Yeah.
That we never even thought of like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity.
Yeah. Dude.
Actually pays like a crazy amount of cash that we didn't know even existed. We didn't even care for it.
Yeah.
But it makes so much logical sense.
Surprisingly, we both work in it now.
We work in it now, exactly. Or work for it now. But my point is, like, it makes so much logical. Everything's online.
Yeah.
So you need to secure that space online.
Yeah.
So you need cybersecurity experts.
Exactly.
Like, it's like bankers. You need bankers to handle people's cash.
Yeah.
Right? But that's it is a STEM subject.
Yeah.
Sort of.
No.
But it's a management. It's one of the main subjects.
Yeah.
But cybersecurity, not even thought.
Yeah.
There are so many unconventional jobs that are like super important now.
Right now, being a YouTuber is quite a lucrative job.
Yeah. It's oversaturated already.
It's already oversaturated, correct? Right? Okay, yeah. So, like, if you know how to do your social media well, that in and of itself is something that will really help you out. And the thing is, people can't get creative on social media because they've never flexed that creative muscle. They'd have no clue what to do. They have no idea what to do. And that's the biggest problem that a lot of people are facing at the moment.
And if schools can implement this, the amount of... We are privileged in a way where we have access to a mobile phone that's given to us by our privileged parents who earned well to earn it, but they can gift it to us. But people who are less privileged won't have that access to social media as much as we do to flex their creative muscles as much.
Nowadays, everybody has access to a phone.
Yeah, but doesn't mean you can run TikTok on everything. You need to have a good phone to run that stuff. And then you can flex your creative muscles really well. Versus the technology can really limit you. Like, let's say a person who is not well off can have a mediocre phone that can run shape-picking things, but they won't be able to flex that creativity muscle of theirs or learn more things because their device can't handle the workload that you're giving it.
Makes sense, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if schools can provide this, like, you're opening up the playing field to a lot of people.
And the final thing I think is schools should educate students on the opportunities that are available.
Yeah.
I think that was something that was never done.
Never done. Because in government schools,
no teacher ever has sat us down and been like, these are the opportunities that are available to you outside of school. The only opportunity they did show us was university. Study hard, get 3 years, get into university and get a job. But they never tell us what job to...
Dude, when we were in school, they didn't even teach us how to like apply for foreign units. What sort of stuff we need?
Yeah, actually, international schools do that.
Do that. Ladies' College does it.
Yeah.
Peters, I thought, does it.
No.
Thomas does it. Royal also doesn't do it.
But I know international schools do it because I know Stafford, Gateway, these kinds of schools teach and help the students apply to
and the kids at a young age figure their lives out.
Yeah.
Versus
and they have
us.
massive school events like fashion weeks.
Yeah.
Things like that get the students creatively involved in a lot of things. I'm not saying St. Peter's did have a lot of big events, but again, it was all organized by the prefects, by a specific club, like the Interact Club or whatever. It was never a school affair. You get what I mean? It was just the teachers and that specific club. But I feel in international schools, they get a different kind of exposure. But of course, there are pros and cons to both, I guess. All right, so now we have spoken about
why schools should implement more creative and practical stuff into the education system.
And why the academic education is outdated.
Yep.
All right. Do we have anything else to summarize here?
Why shouldn't they do it? Why should they keep focusing on
The academics.
the traditional way of like?
I feel like it's not a question of why shouldn't they do it. It's a question of why they won't do it. I feel the reason why they won't do it is because it's a lot more convenient to keep going this way, because this is a lot more standardized, easy to test. There's not a lot of work.
Here's a controversial take that I have. You take two civilizations, the Western civilization and the Eastern civilizations. Two of the biggest superpowers right now is China and
America.
the US.
Yeah.
China, as far as I know, predominantly teaches, you could say, traditional, like less artistic ways of like teaching the education system, versus the US is more creative, more.
I see where you're going with this.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they're both superpowers.
Yeah. But the Americans are a lot more crazy.
No, that's not what I'm trying to say. My point is, is there an argument to be made where for the overall benefit, like let's leave individualism out of it,
Yeah.
right? Leave individualism, like, yeah, you're a fish that can swim well, but we don't need fishes right now. We need monkeys that can climb trees really well,
Yeah.
right? So given that argument, let's say society to function needs proper medical professionals, needs proper mathematicians, and needs proper business managers. Hence, we are only going to focus on those because that is how our society prospers, and the dudes who want to do theater don't really contribute to society so much, so we're not going to really consider them.
And also, free thinkers cause a lot of problems, as we see in the differences between America and China. It's Western culture that's really...
Democracy is not perfect,
Yeah.
right? But democracy requires free thinkers. But that's just a political aspect of it.
True enough.
Let's say, like, in terms of like why a school should focus more of the young generation who is the clear future, why should they focus more on traditionalism and be in those like, follow orders, right? Do what politicians tell you to do, because that is what's required for the country that you live in. And China is a superpower. You can't really argue saying no, it don't work like that, because we're all biased because we all want what's best individually.
Correct. And China, Russia, they have always functioned like that.
Russia is a bit more open.
Is it?
Yes. China is way more closer. Even India is more towards the same, but India has Bollywood and it still has more of a cultural thing.
But India is also very much driven by academics.
Yeah, very much.
Very much
driven by academics to a point where the Western world is dominated by people who learn from traditional academics.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's almost like we took over their world and we're like, okay, we'll take care of society. Y'all go ahead and like be children and like do your acting, do your whatever.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, you take an actor versus a doctor who's keeping humanity functioning better.
It's the doctor.
Actor's just entertaining you.
Yeah.
Versus the doctor is more like...
And
I'm saying this because I'm from theatre.
Yeah.
Bro, I've been acting.
Yeah.
But I can understand that there is from a perspective of, let's say...
There are more important jobs,
There are more important jobs, and that is where we should focus most of our resources, which are finite as a state, in that.
Wow, that is an argument I didn't think of at all.
Yeah, but that's you could still argue saying that you still need to figure out a way to say
you need to have a balance.
Yes,
but what you say makes sense though.
Yeah,
what you say makes sense. But of course, for our audience, you don't have to go. Now, this is a very not even a controversial, but it's a perspective that a lot of people wouldn't think of at all. You don't have to dive that deep into it.
You're a free thinker to think it. You're a free thinker to think it.
Yeah.
But the dudes who are like in the goal, like the fish tank, can't really think like that.
True. Yeah, it's a bit of a
Yeah.
uncommon take on it, right? So if you are writing this particular essay, I think the first 2 points we spoke about would be much more, it would come a lot more naturally to you,
Easier to write.
easier to you. But of course, if you're someone that wants to put out a bit of a uncommon idea, then this is also something you can.
You wouldn't suggest that as
Definitely
a teacher. As
I would.
you would be like, just go for the safe option.
I
get
certainly
your
would.
IELTS.
I
go.
personally would go for the
Yeah.
safe option as well,
Yeah,
because you know
obviously,
when you're
it's a
marking
smart
it, it's
option.
just a smarter way to go about it.
Yeah.
But it's a nice.
Yeah, which is the same thing
Yeah.
that the that the local curriculum teaches, which we are teaching. So we are just hypocrites, bro. We're just hypocrites
That's true.
talking shit, but it's fine. The good thing about having a podcast is we just talk.
but that's why I said it won't change. No matter how many people say it has to change, it won't change because of this reason. No one really wants to make that change because the system as it is very convenient.
Yeah.
It's easy. Free thinking it's tough. It requires a lot of work. You have to upend the entire curriculum. So that's just not going to happen. All right. So with that being said, I think we are going to draw this podcast to a close.
Yeah.
Hope you got some good points. If you did, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend, drop a comment. And overall, I just hope you got something good to take away from it. So till our next video.
Keep practicing.
All right.
Okay, that was a good pod.